All right, we're just getting started. Give me just a moment. There we are, and we are live. Hello, and welcome to the Nudi Method, where we explore the strategies that turn real estate agents into business leaders. Today, I'm thrilled to announce our special guest, Coach John Kitchens, who, among other things, has been a coach to me in the past. Coach John is the ultimate expert in systems and processes for real estate professionals looking to elevate their business. With over 20 years in the industry, he's facilitated over 15,000 one-on-one coaching sessions, and he's guided agents to sell over 4,300 homes. His focus on actionable plans helps agents transition from producers to CEOs of their business. So join me in welcoming Coach John Kitchens as we delve into the keys to building a successful business. Let me bring him on. John, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, brother. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for coming.
To dive in with you.
This is great, and obviously, the topic of conversation is something that there's a drum roll going. Everybody's very nervous about. People have all different opinions as to what's going to happen when this settlement goes into place. I believe now it's mid-August, but everybody wants to know, how am I going to survive and, more importantly, thrive after the settlement takes place? Because I do think there is going to be some attrition of agents, and there are going to be some agents that are just going to give up and leave the industry. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that it needs to be that way. What do you think?
No, I agree. Ralph, it's a lack of skill, right? I think the industry is void of two things. One is leadership, and two is skill. And in the situation that's coming down, as real estate professionals, where we have to be thinking and positioning ourselves is more of a consultative, advisor type of expert is really who we have to be. And the crazy thing is that agents already do it on the listing side, right? Where they come in, they kind of assess the situation. They know the market. They know they're going to have to, get real clear on what the seller's objectives are, what their goals are, what are they trying to do, timing, the real reasons of having to sell. And then, oh, by the way, let me talk about our process to be able to make that happen for you. And so, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do you believe that we have the best system to help you, get out of Wisconsin and get down to Florida? And absolutely, right. And then you're looking for that Chris Voss type of, Ralph, I believe you have the best system to help me. It's not that you're right, it's that it's right. And agents have honed that skill set on the listing side. And I think,
well, most agents, I would argue that most agents have not honed that skill set on the listing side. I would argue that listing agents have honed that skill, but I think most agents never even make it to the stage of being a listing agent because they never up their game enough to have an organized plan of action for getting business. So they're just running out, taking buyer leads. They become a walking lockbox, maybe a taxi cab, although most of the time you're more like a tour guide. And they sell real estate by accident. And it's going to become harder to sell real estate by accident. You're going to have to sell real estate on purpose. I
love that. It's got to be intentional. And I think what we're finding ourselves, and that a lot of agents, especially since 20, have rode a tailwind. And, the wind has changed. And now we're into a dead headwind. And the only way to get through that, it's like going uphill. You don't get uphill by just nonchalantly going uphill. You have to be intentional, one foot in front of the other. And so with that, like you said, and I agree, listing agents have honed that skill. The agents that have built a brand, that have market presence, that have a track record of not only, transacting, but creating, advocates and promoters for their business. It's going to be the same thing on the buy side. I think this is an absolute must. It's what we know is right, to be in a consultative type of conversation with the buyer and asking them those tough questions instead of just being the professional order taker and taxi cab driver and I love you tour guide, is really coming from that that professional approach. Is like, okay, guys, what are your goals? How long are you going to be here? What's future home ownership costs? What's lifestyle needs, wants analysis, schools, what's important, right? So I think if you really take that approach, Ralph, is that you can collapse time on the buy side.
Sure.
The reason that we've always coached and taught in like, guys, you have to go to bed and wake up thinking about motivated sellers, thinking about listings,
Right?
Because that's the highest ROI, the largest ROT, return on your time, return on your investment of your time, is working with listing agents, with sellers.
And I would argue that the disparity is going to become even greater with these changes. If you're a listing boss, you control the whole game here.
Oh, absolutely. I think, the agents that I've had the opportunity that are skilled in this, that get it, they are excited about the changes, because now, one, they do get to control more. They see a pay raise coming in their future.
Absolutely.
And
this is a pay raise for listing agents.
Yes.
If you know what you're doing, because and I've had this argument with agents because I'm testing different markets outside of my own market, believe it or not. I'm testing markets with advertising with lower rate listing side commissions, in many cases under 2%. And the hate mail that I'm getting from other agents on there that, well, we're still going to be offering a listing commission. I don't think these agents understand you're not going, how much you offer as a listing agent isn't going to be part of the game anymore at all. It is going to be up to the buyer and their agent to decide what that agent's compensation is and how they're going to get paid. And in some cases, the cash buyers are just going to pay their own agent. The finance buyers getting a Fannie or Freddie loan, they might be financing them in due to the recent changes. And some may be asking a seller for a credit. In a hot seller's market, those buyers are going to be at a disadvantage. But in all of those cases, if I decide I'm going to offer a 3% or a 4% or a 6% buyer agent commission, it doesn't matter if they already signed an agreement with the agent and the agents, the buyer and the buyer's agents have already signed an agreement for 1%. That's all they're allowed to be compensated, no matter what you're offering.
Yeah, you can't go up. You can always come down. And so I know a lot of agents, and Ralph, this is something. I mean, we've had this in place for 10 years. I mean,
Sure.
It was just our consultative approach that we knew that that's the position that we wanted to take in the marketplace. And it's just a matter of time, right? There's always kind of that Darwinian thinning of the herd.
Yep.
And it's what's been very much needed in this industry. And, we were never concerned going head to head with the professionals. The ones that we were always concerned about were the onesie twosies. They were the ones that were putting a bad rap. They're the ones that certain regulations, certain things get put in, is because you've got people that just aren't taking enough reps.
Right.
And being able to really serve buyers and sellers at the highest level. It's just, it's wild. So I think,
what are some of the things that you believe a buyer agent, an agent working with a buyer, needs to put into their consultation? Give me 3 rapid fire elements that really need to be in there so that A, they can convince that buyer that they're the person to do business with, and B, they can do it effectively and in a profitable way.
Yeah, I think, right from the jump, I think you got to understand it's about them, right? So as a buyer agent, you got to be very inquisitive. You need to come asking a lot of questions. And that's where that consultative approach, because we know statistically, and this is an NAR statistic, is that, buyers want their real estate agent to find them the perfect home. So if we already know that, then what has to happen for that to be true? And the only way you're going to get clear on finding them the right home is asking them the questions that are important to them. And so I think it goes into, what's their goal? How long are they going to be in the home? Is this something that's short term? Is it something that's long term? Can we look at it as an investment, right? What are the future home ownership costs going to be? What's the life of the roof, of the major mechanicals, things that we're going to have to take into consideration. If they're going to be in there for a while, and things that need a little bit of TLC, we're going to have to factor those things in. I think also then lifestyle questions. What's important to them? Is schools important? Is, do they love cooking, or do they love eating out? Right? All of those little nuanced questions that, they get caught up in the moment, right? They're doing a lot of window shopping. They're getting excited. They're looking at product, but yet we got to make sure that product is placed in a way that's going to be, conducive to them and who they are and their lifestyle. And so I think asking a lot of those questions that seem like really like, duh, we should be asking those questions. They just don't get asked.
Sure.
And I think just asking those type of questions, and, when we map this out, Ralph, we look, on the listing side, there's more variables that go into play, but there's still almost 100 variables in the home buying process that has to be proactively managed to be able to, one, we know what they want. They want us to find them the right home. So we've got to do that. They want us to get them into the best terms and payment situation that they possibly can be in. And then third, they want to see us negotiate. They want to see us fight for them a little bit. And if we know those things, right, so we need to be able to have that stacked on the front end so we can go do our job. And most real estate agents don't take the time to ask those questions to do a professional job. They just kind of take the bait, take the order, and kind of serve and just there and hang out and make a friend. And that's just not going to serve. It's not what's right. It's not what's best for the buyers. It's not what's best for the industry. And I think just more of a professional approach is really, really needed. And so as drastic as whatever alternative motives that's coming down with all of this and all of this change, I think it's a change for the good.
Do you think there's a threat that the consumer, especially, I would say that boomers, Generation X consumers, not so much, but millennials, Generation Z consumers have become more transactional and less relational. They do their cost comparisons online. They're always looking for the cheapest, most effective way to get things done with the least amount of human interaction possible. Do you see that space there starting to get sucked up by big companies that fill that need in the same way that Uber has done that, or in the same way that online travel has done that, where people are going to go online, they're going to sign a buyer brokerage agreement for a flat amount, and they're going to have a hourly or salaried employee that is going to be writing their offers for them, and maybe a different hourly or salary employee that's coordinating showings for them. Do you see that as being a threat to our industry?
I think a small percentage,
okay.
In who knows over time, right? But I think there is going to be a small percentage that is okay with that.
Yeah.
I think, no matter what happens, it always still comes down to a decision of trust. Sure. And so do they trust that brand? Do they trust that whoever's helping negotiate and find that, do they trust that, right? And trust is just vulnerability, authenticity times time. Do you have the track record? What can I learn about you to where I can trust you? Does your brand something that I can trust? And brand is just reputation. Does your reputation ooze trust? Do I trust you? And so I think no matter what, there's always going to be a subset that really doesn't care, that will just click and avoid, the human interaction as much as possible. But there's going to be a large majority, I still believe, Ralph, that want to have that conversation, that want to know that they can trust that person is going to find them the right home, that is going to negotiate on their behalf, that is going to fight for them.
What do you think it is? What do you think it is that makes the real estate industry a little less penetrable than, say, the financial services sector or travel or so many of the other industries where high tech has displaced the trusted professional? What makes real estate unique and is going to keep it more relational over time?
I just try to, think about my situation and my experiences. And I think you can kind of attest to this a little bit with you, moving out of state, right, to a completely different market that you didn't know anything about. And, you can only learned so much from the data and from the apps and the tools and the maps. There's something to be said with actually, boots on the ground and actually knowing it. I laughed when my dad, we had my dad put him to work as kind of doing some courier stuff for us for a period of time. And, born and raised, at this time, my dad was, oh man, he was probably mid 60s at this time. And he showed up. This was still Garmin days, right? He had a little Garmin on there.
Yep.
It wasn't on
your phone yet.
It wasn't on our phone yet. And, born and raised this town for 60 years. The only time he left was to go to Vietnam for a stint. That was the only time he ever left. He's in this town his entire life.
Wow.
And he shows up and I'm laughing, right? Because I already know what's about to happen. And I'm like, hey, Pops, you got that Garmin? He's like, I don't need my Garmin. I'm born and raised here. Like, I know every street. I know everything about this town. I'm like, okay, I'll see you in a little bit. Shows up like 6 hours later. And I was like, what happened? He's like, there's streets that I didn't even know existed in this town. I'm like, exactly. So I think there's still a little bit of that insider knowledge and understanding of the little nuances that you don't find online, that you don't find unless you have somebody that's in the streets that knows it, that can give you the little, man, this doesn't fit that lifestyle that you're talking about. Here's what really is happening over here, right? Here's what we want to go over here because of this, because of what you guys told me that you wanted. And that's that professionalism, that's that insider knowledge, that's the little bit of that can't be replaced, in my opinion.
That's good stuff. That's really good stuff. As far as the prime element to your presentation, once you've collected all the questions, the main theme of what you want to drive home to this buyer, why they want to work with a trusted professional as opposed to taking the shortcuts that are out there. What is it?
Yeah, I think, working with somebody that is going to skip steps, right? Skipping steps really just kind of presents the illusion of speed. Those things always come back to get you. It's just a matter of time.
Don't they?
But I think really going through, thoroughly through the process, and at the end of the day, it ain't about me, right? I'm just the guide in this journey, and my journey is to understand where you're at and where you want to go, and to get you there, and to get you there because that's what you want, get you there because that's the best price and terms possible for you, and get you there because I negotiated for you. Those are the three things that we know right now buyers want from their agent, and you have to be able to articulate that in your value back to them in your system, in your process, to be able to help them achieve that. And as long as you can check those boxes for them, you win. And that's why they would want to choose you. And, the crazy thing with the buy side is that, what is this statistic, Ralph? It's off the charts, right? The buyers work with the first agent that they actually, sit down and have a conversation
face to face. Absolutely.
Face to face with. So I think being able to do that, being able to articulate it, talking them through the process, not only, do I think you could get through the transaction no matter what? Absolutely. Are you going to, if you're not articulate and have a strong value, you're going to get squeezed on your paycheck, right? And this is really important. The
squeeze is coming for those that don't know how to protect.
It is. It really is. And what you have to remember is that when people can't compete on value, then they compete on price. And if you ever compete on price, there's somebody that will always do it for less.
Right.
And so if you think that, well, I'll do it for this, or I'll do it for this, or I'll do it for this, just know that there's somebody out there that will do it for less. And there's somebody out there that will probably pay that person just to do it for whatever motive and alternative reason that they have. And they could be getting something else on the back end or with another company that's going to benefit from it. So always, if you never want to compete on price because somebody always do it less. You want to create more value, and you're looking to create so much value that people go, what is this going to cost me? And then when you tell them, they're going, oh, I thought it would be a lot more. That's when you're really nailing the value and being able to articulate the value. It's one thing to have it, but you got to be able to articulate it. And it's just something that needs to ring in every agent's head, is that in the absence of value is when people question price. Am I creating enough value? Am I articulating the value of working with me, a true professional and expert, and what I'm going to be able to do? And you just do that through value. You do that through asking questions. You're doing that through active listening and not making it about you, making it about them, and really, reminding them of what it is that they're looking for. I always joke, Ralph, buyers and sellers, man, when they get into the heat of things, right, they have selective amnesia. And so part of our job as true professionals is to keep them, steady to the goal, and not letting them lose sight of what it is that, they're looking to buy in the first place. And,
Yes.
And so that's what I believe with the consultative approach. It'll collapse time, Ralph. I think, there's some great professionals that are going to make a lot more money than what they're making. And here's the other thing too, right? Isn't it wild? Somebody, been in the game like as long as we have, and somebody brand new, my daughter getting licensed, 19 years old, can go make the same paycheck in the past.
Sure.
How does that
Yeah.
make sense? Right.
Right.
When I can clearly 10 times articulate my value over her, yet she's going to make the same money as me. Like, How does that make sense in any other industry?
Well, it makes sense because the consumer doesn't understand the value of experience between one agent and the next. They're always looking at it as the price is a constant, and the price they're going to pay for the property is a constant, and finding the property that fills their needs is going to be a constant. And the only variable is how much commission. Well, it was with the seller. The only variable is how much commission they're going to pay to get that constant. Yeah. And as a listing agent for years and years and years, sitting down with people, what you have to drive home to them is it's not a constant. The price you get, the terms you get depend on the power of the marketing, the power of the negotiations. Yes, you have to have it priced right. But if you don't have good marketing and good negotiations and an agent who's experienced, you're going to get a lower sales price to begin with. So if it's charging you less money, that doesn't mean you're walking away with more, because it's not a constant. They are all variables. And with buying, the consumer never had to look at what they were paying, quote unquote, paying for a commission, because it was in their mind just being paid by the seller. But now that they're paying it, and they know they're paying it, and they're going to figure out that they're paying it, they're going to start paying more attention to what value am I getting. And so you're right, it creates an opportunity to show them, I'm going to help you get the right property at a better price for you. I'm going to save you money on the home you're buying. I'm going to save you money on the mortgage rate you're paying by getting you in touch with the right professionals there. I'm going to make sure that you avoid the pitfalls of a bad property with the right inspector, and knowing what we should be negotiating and what stuff we should just be making a mental note of, because these are maintenance items that a buyer has. And the overall package is your home, the price of your home, and your overall cost of ownership is going to be lower when you pay somebody like me more.
Yeah.
That's a tough point. That's a very hard point for a new agent to drive home.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, this is why I always believe, new agents should be on a great team with a great leader that has great systems, that has exactly what you articulated. That's where new agents need to go, or agents in the business that have never learned that skill set. Guys, you've got to find the Ralphs of the world that have the systems, the processes, that have the skills, because without it, it's going to be real tough. And the probability of making it is very slim. And it's not about survival right now. It's about doing the things to thrive. And is this going to help me thrive? Is this going to help me position myself in the marketplace to where I'm a trusted, authoritative figure, knowledgeable? And I think too, Ralph, talking about trust, and I was thinking about this as you were kind of articulating that, but having the testimonials and the case studies and the proof, and this goes back to your question of earlier, from being disrupted completely by click and buy with technology and trying to eliminate the human factor. But being able to separate yourself we need the reviews, we need the case studies, right? Because that's what they're going to look at. They're going to go search you. And so if somebody comes along, and sees Ralph Nudi, they're going to Google you. What comes up?
Sure.
And we need to make sure that is at the forefront of our marketing and our branding efforts, is really putting out the image of who we are, but really that we have proof that we can help people accomplish what that people are looking to us to do. Can we actually do what we say we can do? And I think that's where consumers are going to gravitate to. They're going to gravitate more to doing their research. They already are, but they're really going to gravitate to it, find out who you are, and are you a trusted individual that can help them accomplish what they're wanting to accomplish.
Absolutely. You should have the confidence to know that a consumer is going to Google you, I guess is a better way of putting
Immediately.
And it's actually, for some people, it might be something they fear. For me, it's something I welcome because I've built that digital footprint. I actually kind of lean into that afterwards. Hey, look up on Google, read my reviews after I'm done here. Don't just take my word that everything I told you is gospel. I think you'll find that other people have trusted me and they've won because of it. And you can too. And when you leave people with that, especially if they didn't sign on the dotted line, and you have to sprinkle a little what I call be back dust on them, a little dust so that you'll be back, or they'll be back. That's it. That's the be back dust right there.
Love it.
Any final thoughts?
I think agents not getting hung up in whatever nonsense it is, right? Like, the changes, whatever's happening, it's well out of your control. It's well out of everybody's control, especially, understanding what's causing the change. And that's a completely other topic of conversation, Ralph. We get our little tinfoil hats on for that one, but
I've got a whole closet full of tinfoil hats. Come on over.
And so I think just understanding, it's just okay. It's a game. They're changing the rules of the game. Let me know the rules, and then let me go play. And I think the agents that just understand that, don't fight it, and just like, okay, I see what this is. Okay, cool. So this is my boundaries I can play within. Great. I'm going to, create as much value as I can. I'm going to articulate that value. I'm going to create traffic. I'm going to convert it. I'm going to get case studies and testimonials. I'm going to use that to my advantage, and I'm going to, thrive. And I think that's where agents need to go ahead and get their head around is, man, I'm just missing a skill. I'm just missing a capability. I haven't quite learned something yet. So finding a mentor, finding a coach, finding somebody that you can get proximity to be able to tap in and just, glean as much knowledge and information and as you can. And whatever that relationship commitment needs to look like, make it look like it, and get the skill set you need. And 2-3 years of riding in a team capacity with a great leader that has great systems and great structure will be able to help get that skill set. And then, sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want. You can keep riding in that team environment if that's what you love. If you want to break off, do your own thing, those mentors will guide you and help you. And I think it's what has to happen to strengthen, who we are as professionals, but strengthen the industry as a whole.
Now, are you still taking on new coaching clients?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right. And how do people find you if they want to connect with John Kitchens for a little more coaching?
Go to, Ralph, I mean, we're at John Kitchens Coach on all social media. JohnKitchens.coach is our direct website, but you can go on there, click and book a call. That's what I would tell you to do. Go book a call. It's free consultative call. I've coached, had the opportunity to coach Ralph. I coached the #1 team at Real. I coach, just single individual agents that are, earn 6 figures. Like I said, then I've got, teams that will do 2,000 transactions this year. It's all the same, right? It's all the same principles. It's all the same structure. It's all the same process. It's just systems and processes within your business. But I tell you, Ralph, I think where agents have to grasp this, right? You look at employee to self-employed to business owner. And this is the agent to CEO concept, is that you guys have got to move away from being self-employed and really look at what it takes to really have a business mind. And even if you're building a lifestyle business, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to build sustainability, you want to build something that will take on the headwinds and then thrive with the tailwinds, you've got to put some basic principles in place, business fundamentals, and get connected with somebody like Ralph. Reach out to us. We've got tons and tons of free content. You can go to our YouTube channel. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of videos of conversations like this that are just value stacked. Our podcast, I mean, there's like 600 episodes on the podcast and counting. So there's tons and tons of information out there, but sometimes we need that extra little nudge, right, Ralph? We need somebody to hold us a little bit more, accountable to what it is that we're wanting to accomplish.
Amen. John, thank you so much. And we'll have to do this again and drill down on some specific strategies going forward.
You got it, man. We'd love to.
Thanks a lot. That's Coach John Kitchens. And if you're interested in finding out more for coaching, especially if you're putting yourself in a position where you're going to be a team leader, lead your own team, build your own business, John is very good for that. Again, his web address is johnkitchens.coach. And if you're looking to connect with me, especially if you're a single agent, you're looking for a team to join, if you're looking for information on my brokerage. Well, I lost the signal for a second there. As I was saying, if you're looking for information on our team or our brokerage, you can reach out to us personally. You can email me. Email address is ralph@ralphnudi.com. That's ralph@ralphnudi.com. Or you can give me a call. My number, I'm not gonna put it here in writing because all the spammers will find it. But if you have a pen, write it down. Area code 262-308-8939. And I'm going to bring on one of our production partners, Randy, just for a recap of some of the stuff we discussed with John. Randy, how are you?
Doing good. How about you?
Good. Great stuff from John Kitchens, don't you think?
A lot to take in.
It's so much to take in, but I think the value proposition that he talks about and bringing that value proposition to the client, especially to the buyer, is going to become increasingly important as you're asking them to sign on the dotted line to compensate you for your services. What other things do you think you would add to that are important in adding value as an agent to make sure that the clients are dealing with value services and see the benefit of paying you as their agent?
I don't know about adding to it, but one of the questions that I would have liked to have asked was what happens to all the online lead services that are offering buyer leads to agents? When the agent gets them now, do they have to immediately enter into a buyer's agency agreement before they can show that one particular house? I'm talking about like Zillow.
Sure. Well, I actually spoke with one of the representatives in Zillow who's a little higher on the food chain than just an entry-level rep. And what Zillow was planning on doing is having a buyer brokerage agreement. And when the buyer decides that they want to see a property, they're experimenting with a system where they can schedule a time to see the property. They can put 3 different choices as to when they want to see it. They basically acknowledge or accept terms of service, which is a de facto signing of a buyer brokerage agreement that says that they will pay the buyer broker whatever that preset amount that Zillow determines is in buying the property. And they're still toying with how to get it just right, but that's the proposal for them. And Zillow seems to always be, whether we like them or not, an industry leader in how they do things, and oftentimes other providers follow suit.
Yeah, I'm that sounds a lot like their flex program where they're going to be. Is you think that's going to filter down to all of it, even the paid accounts?
It's going to have to, because if you're paying them for leads, there
They
has to
give
be
you
a
the
value.
leader,
There has
and
to be
then
a value exchange. Yeah, there has to be a value exchange,
isn't it incumbent upon you to do that? Get the buyer's agency agreement in place then?
it sure is. But if they're scheduling a showing, right away, they, they have to have some way of being able to capture that buyer for you.
Yeah, it's just another interesting aspect of tons of stuff that's got to shake out from this whole settlement. And I
Yeah,
guess the
it does.
first thing is the settlement's got to get approved, and there has to be some concrete language in there that we all know what's going to happen. At this point, I don't think we all know. I think that there's many different opinions. A lot of people don't think anything is going to change. It's just a matter of how we communicate the buyer's agency or the buyer's agent fee. It
Correct.
is. I'm more of the opinion that you guys just shared, that that you're going to have to be able to be the professional realtor and prove your worth, especially if the buyer is going to end up having to pay your salary or
This is true.
your
This is true.
commission.
It's definitely going to thin the herd, I think, a little bit. I think the less professional agents are going to get out of the business. But I see this as an opportunity for the agents that are good at their job to actually increase their margins. Well, time will tell.
I think it's an opportunity for uh, agent teams, the effective agent teams to possibly grow bigger by having all these things in place, and being able to teach the agents how to do this. Uh, Otherwise, it's just going to be. I think you're right. That it's going to thin the herd. The stronger survive, and um, could be leading to what Zillow's long term plan is to have a whole bunch of agents out there and just go and be the walking lockbox.
It'll be that, and it'll also be, I believe, a bundling of services. You're going to see a lot more of that.
Yep. So ultimately, you think it drives the buyer's end commission down?
It does. It does drive the average buyer commission down. There is going to be commission compression. There is no way about that. The stronger the relationship is that you have with your client, the less of that's going to happen. But there are going to be those transactional buyers who are just looking for the agent that's going to charge them the lowest amount. And I think that that's going to be further exacerbated as the market turns and it becomes a hot seller's market again. When it's not a matter of if that happens, it's a matter of when that happens, because markets
Yeah,
always ebb and flow back and forth either way.
totally agree.
Randy, thanks for popping on. That was Randy Caberline, who is a team lead and also a lender on our team. And again, if you are looking for more information on ways to succeed as a real estate agent, if you want information on our team, our tips, our practices, the things that we do to help our agents succeed, email me, ralph@ralphnudi.com. Give me a call at 262-308-8939. I'm Ralph Nudi, and this has been the Nudi Method.